Another brewing antitrust case against a tech giant. Bloomberg reporting the Justice Department is getting ready to sue Apple for allegedly preventing rivals from fully accessing the iPhone's features. Apple declined to comment when contacted by CNBC. But joining us right now is Columbia Law School professor Tim Wu. He served as an advisor to President Biden on technology and competition policy, and he's known as the architect of the Biden administration's antitrust policies. Tim, thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
Is this playing out the way you envisioned it?
You know, I think it is. There's been rumors going around for a long time. A big monopolization case against Apple centered on the smartphone, performance smartphone. So it looks like it's coming.
I guess we've been kind of digging through this for months and months at this point, but even this morning talking through why go after a company that is so beloved by consumers and that is basically a star, the crown jewel of American innovation? This, Google, Amazon, everybody that you guys are going after, and I say you guys because you did architect some of this.
Yeah.
You know, you did orchestrate some of this. Why go after Americans' standout innovative companies and agree with basically what the Europeans are saying in a way that could change the way we innovate, the way we lead?
The idea, I think, is to hold America's best companies' feet to the fire, that if they're forced to compete, they get better, that dominant companies become stagnant. It's an American tradition. We did it with IBM. We did it with AT&T. We did it with Microsoft. And frankly, Standard Oil. But I mean, I'm talking about tech leaders. Yeah. And I'm saying that, suing Microsoft ended up being the best thing for the tech industry. And the theory is that no one disputes that Apple's a great phone, a great company. But, the law is not a popularity contest. And the idea is that they got where they are and have now built the moat to prevent anyone else from getting in there, preventing people from switching, new applications. So the idea is in favor of more innovation.
Explain how you think going after Microsoft was the best thing that could have happened for the tech industry, because Bill Gates has said it's the reason that they fell behind, why the company lost out on going and having its own phone.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up Europe and Japan. Other countries just sort of leave their monopolists there. And after a while, a very vibrant, competitive company becomes stagnant. They become less interested in innovation, more interested in trying to keep out their competitors. Back in the 90s, Microsoft had basically sewed up the operating system market. They were trying to take on the internet and control it. And they probably would have prevented the rise of companies like Google, like Amazon, like Facebook. They had their own search engine. Why would they let Google win on their Explorer?
The only thing I would push back on that front and say is America is a much more competitive environment than some of these other countries. And that maybe the reason those other countries go stagnant, their leaders go stagnant, is they have no one else pushing. I mean, you can look at Apple right now and say that they are behind in the AI race and they have a lot of catching up to do. And that's because they haven't been able to shut down competition.
I think even inside this country, we have former tech industries that get very stagnant. Let's take aerospace. We allowed the airline industry to merge into basically a monopoly centered on Boeing, competing with Airbus. How's that going? When you think about the car industry, we've said, okay, the big three can have it. I think we've done a lot better when we force.
The big three have been completely disrupted by Tesla and other companies that come in too.
And by imports.
Yeah.
No, I hear that. But what I'm saying is, if we had taken antitrust action in the 60s, we would have had a more competitive car industry. I just think that there's a cycle. I think companies get uncompetitive. They try to build up moats to defend themselves. It makes sense. They want to make profit. But going after a company like Apple, Microsoft, all these things, it keeps them hungry, keeps them competitive, keeps them in a way insecure and forcing them to innovate.
When you describe it like that, it makes me think that there is not much that Apple can do to settle, to make these claims go away. They've agreed and made some concessions to the European Union. Right. Would it be as easy as saying, okay, we'll make those changes here too? Or is the entire goal of the Department of Justice to bring them to their knees and not allow them to be a strong competitor in their own right?
No, the goal of the Department of Justice is to protect competition. And their theory is that Apple has monopolized this market and has prevented competitors from challenging Apple through means that are illegal. So if Apple agrees to do all that,
but what is all that? Like, describe what would actually take. I mean, are you talking about saying to the App Store is no longer going to be protected, be its own ecosphere? Are you saying that they have to let anyone in who wants payments in? Because Apple in the past has said part of the reason they don't allow more of this stuff is because they want to make sure that their consumers are protected from Privacy concerns, any hacking that might take place, are they not allowed to do that at all? It's just got to be open for all?
I think the Justice Department is going to want to know the difference between what is actually privacy protection and what is something they say to protect their monopoly. Look, this Justice Department is not into easy settlements. So they can't wave a magic wand and say they want to understand that they need to be, that blocking on competition illegally won't be tolerated anymore.
I think that's the key in what you're saying, is that this Justice Department doesn't want to settle easily, that there are much bigger issues. Like for Apple, it's not going to be able to settle and go away unless it basically hands over the keys to the kingdom. I mean,
Jonathan Cantor was saying the other day, the biggest change between us and the old days is we don't settle for like 5 cents on the dollar and call it victory.
This investigation was begun under the Trump administration. Yeah. But I think what's happening under Cantor is probably far more aggressive. If there's a change in administration, how do you anticipate that could potentially impact the dealings between Apple and the Department of Justice?
I mean, I think this movement has caught fire. I think a lot of Americans want fundamental change to the economy, and they cheer on their government when they take on the biggest companies. I mean, it only makes the companies better in the long run, and it only makes the American economy more productive. So I think this has become very popular, and I wouldn't be surprised if it survived. Of course, I think President Biden's going to win, but even if there was a change in administration.
Knocked me down with a feather.
Well, that's not what you said when Speaker Johnson said he thought that Trump was going to win.
No, I know, but Speaker Johnson's a Republican leader of the House. This guy's someone who's talking about antitrust issues.
But he's also somebody who's
not a politician. I got it.
Yes, I get it too. Yes, when you come from that, when you're in that party, you think that's going to happen.
We expect the Speaker of the House to be blatantly partisan, but not an anchor like me.